This is a safe space, so you can feel...
It's really hard. It's so hard drinking tea in this country. There was this 2-pound bubble tea that I was obsessed with in Hong Kong. That I came here and saw that bubble tea is like £5. I was like, are you serious, man? Like, what? Excuse me?
3, 2, 1, action.
Wait.
How are you feeling?
I feel good. I feel chill. Well, my name's Evie. I'm from Hong Kong, and I came to London in 2020 to study a master's in journalism, but I actually was in the UK when I was 18, so it was 2017, a long time ago. But I wasn't like in London. I was in between Leamington Spa and Coventry because I was studying at a university around there. I could say which one, but then in case I throw digs at it, I want to like be respectful.
That's nice.
Yes, respectfully. I went there to study creative writing, English literature and creative writing. Back then it was renowned for that. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
There's also sirens, by the way.
Yeah, this is very London. So why London? I did move from a big city to a big city, but
Which city was that?
Hong Kong is just... A lot of people say that Canary Wharf is like Hong Kong. It's like a super condensed version of Hong Kong. And they're not wrong. I would say it's quite similar.
Is it not very green then?
Yeah, in Hong Kong, you need to kind of travel out of the center of town for you to be around greenery. In general, it's a very like concrete jungle. I'm not sure if dreams are made there.
I literally was about to ask, is it where dreams are made of? But you knew.
Yeah,
You knew.
well, not my dream back in the day, so that's why I had to come all the way to the UK. And I came to London to pursue a dream. Just a girl with a dream.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What was the dream?
Well, the dream was to have a job. Like, I was freaking out. I was freaking out because I couldn't find a job because it was 2020 when the pandemic was at its peak.
Right, and that's when you arrived in London.
Yeah, that's when I decided to study in London to get a journalism degree because I was doing like a bunch of student newspaper stuff when I was in undergrad. And then I decided to do it more seriously. And so I came to London. And then I was here for a year, and then I was almost going to move back to Hong Kong because I still couldn't get a job, even though that was the dream that I came here for. But then somehow things worked out. I found a job here, so I stayed. And then I just kept staying. And it's been...
And now you're still here.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since I moved to London.
Since you kept staying.
Since I locked in,
Right.
trusted the process.
And how are you finding it?
How I see London now is very different to how I used to see London. There's this book that I studied in undergrad in my first year of university called Lonely Londoners. And it was a book that the details of it are very fuzzy now, but it was about immigrants who arrived to London who then thought about it as like a place where their dreams would come true, their lives would be better, but then they just found this persistent and pervasive loneliness that kind of haunted the city and its spaces. And I think when I first moved to the UK and I came to London for the first time, that was what I felt. It was like the moment I stepped out of Oxford Circus, I was like, oh my god, this place is beautiful. Like I was in Times Square in New York, which is where I actually wanted to study.
Right.
I'm kind of glad my parents didn't let me study in the US, to be honest, but the benefits of hindsight did not hit me back then. So when I went to London for the first time to visit a friend, I was like, wow, Oxford Circus is this magical place. And then, but pretty soon, like reality set in. I was like, this is nothing like what I imagined. And then when I came back to do my master's, that book had not felt more true, especially because it was the pandemic. At the time, I was living in the student dorms for my master's, and then my friends that had family in the UK, so they kind of went back home to do like lockdown and stuff, so I stayed in the dorms on my own. And I spent a series of very important occasions alone in a dorm room, which didn't help my mental health. So that's why I almost left. Like, I was being tested.
You felt the full sort of pull of loneliness. And you thought, well,
exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. It was like I was going through this purgatory when I was here. All of my friends were away from me. All my family were away from me. I didn't see my family for 2 years, which is the longest I'd gone without seeing them back then. London to me was just like so isolating. And then thankfully, very thankfully, during my master's, I met someone who is to this very day, someone I'm extremely close to. And she was the one who kind of like helped me find the world that I have now because she gave me the confidence to actually branch out and meet people. Now my concept of London is very different. I would say I would call it a home. I think the idea of home to me is very complicated because I always think that home would mean Hong Kong. But then home, the family that I've chosen to build around me here, has that sense of unconditional love that I would find within my family too. When I think about London now, I do find a sense of comfort that I couldn't even imagine feeling when I first moved here.
Sounds like quite the journey. Being really lonely to finding your people and then building this hub where you felt like you had a family again. Where you felt safe.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Thanks. I think it took a lot of faith.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It took a lot of faith to kind of uproot myself again, because I spent 5 months in 2020 in Hong Kong, and there was this really strong temptation to just kind of continue the rest of my life there. But then I knew that I couldn't pursue what I really wanted, which was journalism, maybe the creative industries, which I am in now. And I kind of followed that gut feeling through. There's always going to be this feeling of like, what if? Had I stayed there, how would my life be different? How would things have worked out for me? But I try not to think about that because it kind of takes me away from the present and the choices that I've already made.
Yeah, you can't do the what ifs all the time.
I think you can spend a lot of time hypothesizing what that could have been like, and then forget that you have so many things around you to be grateful for that you spent so much time and effort building up.
I was just reading this 40 Things I Learned in My 40s by Mark Manson, who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And he said, you're always going to be a little unsatisfied, and that's okay, that's just normal.
Yeah.
There are people that are always going to be tormenting themselves for not having done every single thing that was in their dreams, or not having lived out every single fantasy moment. It's okay to not have achieved everything, especially because you're so young as well, and we've got time.
I think that's a really important reminder. As human beings, this feeling of dissatisfaction is what kind of keeps us working and working, but it's also really easy to be consumed by that feeling and to forget that time is something that doesn't wait for anyone, but also you have a lot of time. It's like a glass half empty versus half full kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have a lot of time ahead of you to do a lot of things. You can also look at it as, I only have this much time to do certain things at this certain age, but then why is that necessarily true if you can be older and do these things with more of an idea and more drive and more means to actually accomplish those things? Growing up in Hong Kong, there's this big pressure to be a certain kind of person when you reach a certain age. But then I think the reason why I moved here also is because I can just stop thinking about that pressure of time. Like, at least think about it a bit less and focus on the things that I truly enjoy. 40 Things I've Learned When I'm 40 is something that I should read, even though I'm currently like 26. I think it will still apply now.
I think you did something like 40 Things I Should Have Known in My 20s. That sort of thing. I can't really remember, even though I've read it twice. But it's very good. You mentioned that Hong Kong is kind of like Canary Wharf.
Yeah.
In that sense, if you want to sort of feel more at home, do you go to Canary Wharf?
Hong Kong is like Canary Wharf in the way that Canary Wharf is just really tall buildings, big banks, huge financial corporations. I think a lot of the architecture reminds me of Hong Kong, especially a specific part of Hong Kong called Central District, where it's all luxury fashion stores, really fancy like banks, and that's where all the lawyers and the bankers work, and also a lot of the doctors. It's like the financial hub. Canary Wharf is kind of like that.
Yeah, sounds a bit like Canary Wharf from what you've described, although sort of bank and Canary Wharf combined.
One area called Admiralty has the old architecture that bank would have, while Canary Wharf has the super developed high rises and skyscrapers that the Central District of Hong Kong would have. I don't go there to feel a sense of home though. Usually when I do want to feel like a sense of home in London, I would usually just make the food that I would have in Hong Kong at home, like variations of it. I just kind of try to emulate the feeling of being at home. I do have like a few friends who live in Canary Wharf, and then I would go visit them and remember, oh my god, this is what Central District looks like. And then there's like a wealth of East Asian grocery stores there. I think the underground system as well is very similar to Hong Kong's. And also because it's close to the sea, which is something that, well, to the Thames.
I was like, is there a beach in Canary Wharf?
It's the body of water that is very similar. Actually, there is one part of Canary Wharf. I forgot what exactly it's called. That area, it's facing the Thames. It really reminds me of the harbor front in Hong Kong called Tsim Sha Tsui. Some of the Hong Kong architects designed that place as well. So you have this like harbor front in Hong Kong that looks very similar to the Thames waterfront in Canary Wharf.
It's so random. Like,
it is.
When I think of home, I think of Canary Wharf.
Yeah, I guess if I do want to feel a sense of home, I could go walk along the Thames in Canary Wharf, but it would be a bit of a trek, and also it's super windy. Whereas in Hong Kong, you get like a light breeze. And also the smell of sewers, but I guess you get that in London too.
Yeah, anywhere sort of a random sort of stroll around Piccadilly and like, oh, okay, smells like sewage.
Yes, that's a similarity between the two places.
In terms of differences, what were the kind of key things that you noticed when you first moved to the UK or London?
With London, especially, the taxis are very different. I don't know why this is the first thing I thought of. The cab drivers, the whole taxi culture here is very different. I know here I would usually call an Uber, I wouldn't take a black cab. But in Hong Kong, I take the taxi a lot more often. Also because it starts at £2. It's also very cheap.
Cheap
Public
taxis.
transport, yeah.
Nice.
In general, public transport in Hong Kong, super cheap. Whenever I go back to Hong Kong and I take the version of the tube there called the MTR, I am so grateful for the MTR. There's air conditioning, there's Wi-Fi, it's super fast. Everything's super modernized. You don't have some crusty seats to sit on. It's always like plastic seats. It's not really great for how your butt feels, but it gets you to places very quickly and it's very clean. And also you have convenience stores and all kinds of different shops inside tube stations very often, which you do not get in London. But back to the taxis in particular, when I get into a cab in Hong Kong, usually the taxi drivers are quite talkative, and to practice my Cantonese, because I don't get to really speak it here, I would just end up talking to a taxi driver. And it would just be quite nice to talk to a complete stranger for like a 20-minute or 15-minute journey.
People don't do that on tubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes did that, sort of going to Spain and getting a cab and just practicing Spanish. That's a really good way to practice a language, actually, and just talking to people.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of getting rid of the loneliness, which, I mean, actually, to be fair, traditional cabbies, I suppose,
Yeah.
they're quite few and far between now. Not a lot of people would opt for a cab, like you said.
Yeah.
But they tend to be quite talkative. So that could have gotten rid of your loneliness at the beginning. I
Yeah, that's one of the differences is you get that kind of shared compassion for this city in Hong Kong where you just, usually with a cab driver, I'm just complaining. We're both complaining about like how much a hospital would cost. That's usually what's on the radio or like whatever the news is about. Or the taxi driver likes to rant at me about how business is recently. And I'm like, I feel for you, man. Big up. Thanks for the journey. This was very entertaining. I learned a lot about like local culture, the food.
Oh, yes. Would you like a McVitie's digestive?
Sure. I'd love one.
I wish I hadn't told you what was in them, because then I could have been like, guess. I kind of want one as well, so I'm gonna... Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is some caramel.
That's pretty elite.
I should have actually taken the ones you brought. Kit Kat? Heard of it. What's the difference between this blue one and this red one?
If I remember correctly, one of them is like a tiramisu Kit Kat. I mean, it says that on the packet. I'm pretty sure it tastes like a...
Oh, I'm like, this is all in... Is it Cantonese?
Oh, that's in Japanese.
Okay.
But another one is like a white chocolate.
What are these?
These... Do you have a nut allergy? I should have asked.
No.
Cool. These are pistachios.
They're so cool. Like, they're
Yeah.
so cute that they're in like a little triangular packet.
Yeah, I am obsessed with them. Like, I eat them all the time with my mom. And then those are like almond chocolates. And they're all different flavors.
Oh my god. Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome.
Why did I go for the digestive? Maybe I should go for the... Is this the tiramisu one?
We'll find out.
Oh my god, it is.
It's kind of been through it, I will say.
Okay.
I did crush them a little in the journey.
Oh, this looks kind of like it's been through it.
It is.
Ah! I got it everywhere. Oh my god, making a mess. Oh, this is good.
It's a vibe.
Tiramisu Kit Kat.
Yeah, I think it's white chocolate and dark chocolate put together.
Ooh, yummy.
It's a whole vibe.
Apparently, it's been 100 years since McVitie's was invented, founded, I don't know. So, that's it. McVitie's.
We really celebrated its anniversary.
Do you drink tea with your digestives, or are you not
Yeah.
into the tea vibe?
Oh my god, I love tea. Well, the thing about Hong Kong is we're very well known for Hong Kong milk tea. And the way it's made, do not quote me on this because I'm not a culinary expert. I don't actually know I don't know a lot of history about it. But like, I know that, for example, back in the day, Cantonese diners would like strain the tea through a pair of stockings. Not to give it any flavor, and obviously not stockings have been worn.
Like a long stocking? I don't know. I'm trying to picture the stocking.
I think they like put it over like a jug of some sort and they strain the tea through it. I mean, you know what? Unconventional methods. I don't think a lot of places do use that method anymore. The tea that they use, the ratio of milk to tea is perfect. But I grew up drinking that kind of tea. So when I came to the UK and people were like, yeah, we just kind of have tea in our drawer. I never had tea in my drawer. Like I never had black tea bags hanging around at home in Hong Kong. I wouldn't really have Hong Kong milk tea that often. I think I took it for granted. I love bubble tea. There was this £2 bubble tea that I was obsessed with in Hong Kong. That I came here and saw that bubble tea is like £5. I was like, are you serious, man? Like, what? Excuse me?
That doesn't surprise me one bit that coming to London, the price of what you would usually get locally where you're from is extortionate.
Yeah, it really hurt my soul. I was like, I used to get this so cheap, like $20 in Hong Kong, which is £2.
London prices.
Yeah, it was painful. But then I came here, started drinking more tea, and then everyone was like, I can't believe you add sugar and so much milk in your tea. And I was like, my reasoning is Hong Kong milk tea is kind of like that. The ratio of milk is higher, and also it usually is very fragrant, and there's like sweetness to it to bring out that fragrance within the tea. So don't come for me on how I drink tea. I'm very passionate about it because I've been roasted for the way I drink tea a lot.
Yeah, and also English breakfast tea, I'm not really a fan, but English breakfast tea is nothing like that. I mean, I guess you could add 2 sugars, 1 sugar, whatever, but they don't have a milky tea in this country. Bubble tea is quite a milky, sweet tea.
Yeah, it's a very like milk-based tea. You get brown sugar pearl tea, which is actually just brown sugar pearl with milk.
What's brown sugar pearl?
So it's like, so tapioca pearls have been cooked in brown sugar.
Tapioca, the things that like
they're chewy.
Burst in your mouth or something. Or is that not that?
There's like multiple versions. So tapioca pearls are usually made with tapioca flour, which is super chewy when it's formed into like little balls, and then afterwards you can cook it in brown sugar, so it has this like it's more of like a dessert in my opinion, because then you put it in the bottom of like a bubble tea cup and you add like milk, or you add like different kinds of tea to it, ube, taro milk tea, matcha green tea, black tea, oolong tea. So then you also have like
all the types of tea,
all the teas.
Lots of tea. Sorry,
pearls.
I didn't offer you tea. I could have done that.
Don't worry about it. Oh, I'm also super sensitive to caffeine, which is kind of a shame because I drink decaf tea, which again, people would roast me for. And look, if I just don't want to take any chances. If I have a normal tea at 10 p.m., I would be awake till 6 a.m.
But also, this is a safe space. So you can feel
really hard. It's so hard drinking tea in this country.
You let it out.
Yeah.
You let it out.
Thanks.
Because you know what? Enjoy the tea you like in your own way.
Period.
That seems like it should be some sort of advert. Speaking of, well, not quite food, we just went from tea to sweets. Excuse me? I hate that.
I get it.
I hate that. I want you to rank the following out of 10.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Water. I gotta be prepared for this.
Roast potatoes.
Oh, love roast potatoes. Out of 10, probably like a solid 9. Because sometimes it could be a bit dry, so depends how you make it.
A well-made roast potato.
Still a 9. To me, that's a side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main matters a lot, so.
For some reason, I didn't want to talk about the Sunday roast. I just wanted to pick out that one part of it.
Oh man, if you ask me about Sunday roast, I'm gonna rank them all pretty high.
Oh, good.
Even like black pudding.
Do you like black pudding?
I do like black pudding. The thing about eating, like the food that I've eaten in Hong Kong is I eat a lot of strange food. Well, people here consider it strange.
Yeah, I'd say black pudding is probably the strangest thing I've come across. Well, when I was a kid, I was like, what's that? And then my nana's like, pig's blood. And I'm like, what? People eat that? Not just pig's blood.
Yeah, they do be eating all kinds of...
Vampires. We are vampires.
Yeah.
Are you team Cullen or are you team...
Well, back in the day, I was team Cullen.
No, I'll always be Lautner. Anyway. This has been Sam and
Evie,
who
is not struggling to be alone in London as much as before, so you can do it too. Good luck with everything!
If you enjoyed this, leave a comment, give it a like, and next time we'll bring more snacks.
Love snacking.
Alright.
2 snacks on a couch.
2 snacks on a couch.
2 snacks on a couch with a bowl of snacks.
Excellent. All of the above. Bye!
Bye! It was good for certain things, not great for other things. But we can get into that later.
The suspense is killing me already, and we've been doing this for 30 seconds.
I try to be mysterious.